Alright, so now that our front end is pretty much done, I just want to create a web page, a form where we can add questions obviously with multiple choice answers. So if we open up the add.php file, we have our form. Let's actually go to it in the browser. Alright, so here's our form. Basically, we're going to put in the number for the question, the question text, and then our choices, and then the number of the choice that's correct. Is there a better way to do this? Probably, but I don't want to make it too complicated because we're really early on in this course, and it's just the bare basics that I'm trying to show you. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to submit this form to this page. Alright, we're going to submit it to add.php. Alright, so what we want to do is up at the top here, before we output HTML, we want to check for and see if the submit button was pushed. Alright, so if this submit button's pushed, then we want it to do something. Okay, so let's first of all connect our database file, or include it. Alright, now we want to check to see if the submit button was pressed. Alright, so we're going to say if post, actually we'll say if is set post submit. Alright, now this submit is coming from the name of the button down here. Name equals submit. If this was called send, then we'd use post send. Alright. Okay, so let's just do a little test. Say submit was clicked. Alright, so let's reload this and go ahead and push submit, and you can see now it says submit was clicked. So whatever we put in here is only going to run if the form's submitted, which is what we want. So the first thing I'm going to do here is get the post variables. Alright, and I'm going to assign them to regular variables. So question number is going to be post question number. Alright, again, this is coming from the name where it is right here. Alright, now I also want to get this question text, so it's going to basically be the same kind of thing. We're going to change this to text. Alright, now we still have all the choices, and there's a few ways you could do this. Alright, you could take each choice just like and assign them to a single variable like we're doing with these, but you may have problems when you go to insert that information in the database, and for instance choice 5 isn't filled out. Alright, and what I would do, what I'm going to do in this situation is create an array called choices, and I'm going to add each of these to the array. Alright, as long as they're filled out. So up here, let's just say choices array. Alright, now to initialize the array, I'm just going to say choices equals array. Okay, so now it's initialized, and I want to pass the choice values that are entered into a slot into a single slot in the array. Alright, so we'll have the first slot, which will be choices 1, and that's going to equal post choice 1. Okay, so I'm going to do this for all 5. And I'm just going to change the index. Okay, and then we'll change these. So that's going to put all the choices into a nice clean array for us. Alright, so now we have to do the query. Alright, so basically we're going to have 2 different query. We're going to be inserting data in 2 different tables, the questions table and then the choices table. Alright, so first we're going to do the question query. Alright, so basically we'll do what we've been doing. We're going to create a variable called query, and in here we're going to say insert into questions. Okay, I'm using those back ticks again, and then we want to put what columns we want to enter these in. Alright, so the first one is question number. Alright, and this is coming from our database. Alright, so our questions database, we're inserting this, the question number, and we also want to insert the text. Okay, so question number and text. And then we want to say values, and then simply put the values in the same order that we put the columns. Alright, and we want to put these in quotes. So question number, which is coming from here, which is coming from our form submission. Okay, and then we want the question text. So we're just saying insert into these 2 columns these 2 values. Okay, pretty simple. And now what we're going to do is run it. And I'm going to create a new variable, insert row, MySQL query, and we're going to pass in the query we just created. Okay, and we can also say or die. Alright, and let's put the line as well. Okay, so that's going to run the query for us. So down here, basically we want to validate the insert. Okay, so basically we'll just say if insert row. Okay, so if it's successful, then if the questions query is successful, okay, so what we've done already is insert it into this table, into the questions. So we'll get the number and the text. We haven't inserted any choices yet. Okay, that's our next step, is to insert the choices along with these fields, the question number, if it's correct, and the choice text. So we're going to do that now. We're just checking to make sure that the question was inserted. If it is, then we'll go ahead and continue with the choice query. Alright, now since our choice values are in an array, we're going to use a for each loop to iterate through that array and create our choice queries. Alright, so we're going to use a for each loop. Alright, and we're going to say for each choices as I'm going to say for each choices as choice value. Okay, so the reason I'm using this value is because we want to get the key, which is the choice, which you can see up here. This is the key. It's basically the number of the choice, and then the value, which is going to be whatever the user submits for each choice. We want to be able to use both of those. All right. So let's first of all check and make sure the value is there. Because if, let's say, someone goes to the form and they fill out a question, they fill out choice 1, 2, 3, and 4, we want to make sure that choice 5 doesn't get inserted as a blank, as nothing. Alright, so that's why we're going to check for it through each iteration. So we're going to say if the value is not equal to nothing, then we'll proceed. Alright, so the next comparison we want to do is to check and see if it's the right answer. Okay, so we'll say if correct choice is equal to the current choice of the current iteration, then we're going to have our variable called isCorrect is going to be, it's going to equal 1. Okay, and then we'll say else isCorrect is going to equal 0. Alright, so we know that if it's the right choice and the right iteration, isCorrect is going to equal 1. Okay, so now let's do the choice query. Insert into choices. Actually, this should be a backtick. Insert into choices, and we're basically going to do the same thing. We want the fields, which is going to be question, number, is correct, and text, which is going to be the text for the choice. Alright, and then down here we're going to say values. Okay, the first value is going to be the question number. Okay, and these should have quotes, single quotes. And next we're going to have that is correct. Remember, if it is the right choice, then this is going to be a 1. If not, it's going to be a 0. And then we also want the text, which in this case is going to be the value variable, because we're up here we said for each choices as choice and then value, which is going to be what the user entered into that choice. Alright, so now we can run the query. Say insert row. MySQL query error. Okay, we just want to make sure we pass in the query. Okay, so now we will validate that insert. So we'll say if insert row, then all we want to do is continue. Okay, if there's a problem, then we're going to die with an error. Okay, so we'll say error. And I want to just output the error, MySQL error no Okay. Okay, now when we get out of the loop, which is right here, we just want to redirect. Okay, and we're gonna redirect to location. Location add.php. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to redirect. I'm just going to set a message variable. We'll say message. We'll say question has been added. And that's all we'll do. And then down here, let's make it, we'll put it right under the heading. So basically we want to say if the if the message variable is set, then we're just going to output that message. Okay, so let's just okay, so we're going to say if is set message, then we're going to echo, put in a paragraph here. Okay, let's put it in. All right, yeah, that should be good. So if it's set, if the message is set, then it's going to output here. All right, so let's give that a try. All right, so question number, what I want to do is I want to put the right number. So we have 2 questions in our database. So what I want is, for when we come to this page, I want this to be pre-filled with a 3. Okay, so that we don't have to guess, or we don't have to go and check it. It'll just automatically be there, and that's pretty easy. All we need to do is get a total and add 1 to it. All right, so let's do that before we do anything. Okay, now I'm not going to say if is set. I want to do it out of that block. Okay, so I'm going to break out of that, and let me just paste this in. Basically, it's just, we've basically done this before. Okay, so we're just going to get the total, select all from questions, we're going to get the num rows, and then we're going to create a variable called next that's going to be equal to the total plus 1, and then we'll insert that as a value into that input. Okay, so question number, value. Okay, we're going to say echo next, and that should be it. So let's save that. Okay, so now it's automatically pre-filled with a 3, and we can change it if we want. We have these nice arrows. Alright, so let's give it a question. Let's see, we'll say what is the best server-side language? We'll say ASP, I don't know, Ruby, PHP, and the correct answer is going to be 3. Submit. Okay, so we're getting an error, undefined variable correct choice. Let's see, correct choice, which is right here. Oh, we never passed that in. We never created that variable. Okay, so correct choice equals post correct choice, and that's coming from the form, coming from right here. Alright, now let's see if that did anything to our database. Alright, so the questions query went through. Alright, the insert. And if we take a look at the choices, alright, so we have an issue with the question number and the is correct. Okay, the question number is 0. Oh, okay. We have just number here, and that's why. Alright. So let's edit this form name. I'm sorry, this input. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's right. Question number. That's the type, not the name. Alright, so name question number, and then up here, question number equals post question number. I'm not sure why it's 0. Let's make sure that it's actually being put into this variable. Okay, so it's 4. We submit it, it gets 4. And it does get inserted into the questions table. Oh, okay. We don't have the $sign here. Whoop. Alright, so that's good. Now for the correct choice, we have that now. We have that, so that should be alright. Alright. So what I'm going to do is just actually delete what we just did from both tables. And we'll just try that again. Okay, correct choice is 3. Submit. And you can see now we have our question has been added. And the questions table looks good, and the choices looks good as well. You can see now we have our question number 3, the correct answer PHP, and then we have the text. So looks good to me. Yeah, so that's it really. So we have our quiz, we have a page to add questions. You can see now we have 3 questions. The estimated time has automatically been changed to 1.5 minutes. Obviously there's a lot more you can do with this script, but I just kind of wanted it to be, you know, one of the early projects just to get a feel for database queries through PHP. So that's it. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next project.